If you're like, I'm a badass with a kettlebell, I'm a superstar with a Bulgarian bag, whatever you think you're a bad mamma jamma at, I would do that in my uniform at the busiest times.
You just rolled into the smartest small town in fitness.
Welcome to Smittyville, where the trainers level up. Big reps, big vision, yeah, we're building it up. Smartest small town in fitness. Pull up, lean in, with Mayor Chris Smith and Krissy Vann.
A podcast for personal trainers. Let's get to work.
From the trainer perspective, that's what we're going to talk about today. So client enters the gym, fired up, ready to go. How do you then coach them to feed that almost intensity addiction? Because everyone goes in with the best intentions.
Yeah, I mean, we focus on a number of different things in terms of like our systems and our process and the coaching that we're giving. But, you know, at the end of the day, what you're really trying to do is impact, systemic behavior change, which we're not in full control of, but that's really what we're trying to model and or describe to individuals as they're going through that excitement phase and all these different things. And, again, from a behavioral change, if you started behavior change models, there's a number of them out there. But so from pre-contemplation to contemplation stage, taking action and all that stuff and leading into that excitement that you're describing, how do I sustain that and help you sustain that in a meaningful way is really the key, right? And so that's just about level setting and, again, helping them set realistic goals to understand what that process is going to look like.
So what should the process look like?
An important part for any type of behavior change. And so again, whether you're talking about, I want to lose weight, I want to be more toned, I want to gain muscle, I'm only doing it for my mental health, whatever their reason is, right? Whatever that motivation or goal, a big part of it for what I would teach, and I believe we still teach as an organization, is that, again, success is not linear. And so I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated, right? It's like, I started today, I expect to be here on day 7 and here on day 14 and here on day 21 and at the end of day 28, first month, if you will, and it's going to look just like this. And it doesn't. Success looks like this. It's a squiggly line, right? I mean, there's memes and stuff out there for what success really looks like. But at the end of the day, if you can look back after 6 months of discipline and doing the right things with as much consistency as possible and as much discipline as possible, you're then usually able to really easily chart, this is where I started and wow, look where I am now, right? And so I think that's to really understand that, again, depending what that goal is, I think the instantaneousness that we all want of give it to me now versus understanding anything worth having is going to take a little bit of time.
Well, and it's not just the clients that are goal setting right now. We're speaking to trainers, and there might be some that are looking at their take home from the year and thinking, shit, I didn't really make the financial goals that I set for myself. So for the trainers that are starting out 2026 with that financial goal in mind of I'm going to crush it, what should their habit set look like to kick things off that's actually sustainable versus going balls to the wall and then kicking themselves on quitter's day?
The age of AI and where we're at and people's ability to get programs really at their fingertips, right? That, again, whether they're really how good the program is or whatever the machine generates for you, but world-class customer service still wins, right? So we would kind of talk to our team about that around world-class customer service. So that's really the human element. And so where does that come in? So if I want to grow my paycheck, sales equals service. The amount of people that I'm helping is directly proportional to the amount that I'm going to sell, which really ultimately drives how much I'm going to service and therefore my income, right? And so people need to understand that kind of that cyclical side of it. And so again, if I didn't have a great year or I'm coming off a tough fourth quarter, and now I want to go into the new year and really do well, I would look back, who are all my past clients? Who had I trained in the past? And then have I checked in with all of them? And then what did that check-in look like? So you can go old school. You can send people postcards. They're going to get it in the mail. Just a little touch of class, a little touch of service, something a little bit different. It doesn't cost that much money to do, but is that going to be more impactful or meaningful? Or am I just going to send them a text? Maybe you'll just send them a text. Or do you text them with, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm really hoping you're doing well. I'd love to connect with you. When's a good time to call? Because maybe I know that from that individual's relationship and what we did in the past, those conversations were more powerful. Like, again, you got to meet the member where they're at or meet that individual where they're at or kind of think about that. But there's a number of different ways, and for me anyway, that you could kind of reach out and provide world-class customer service. And that's what I'd be thinking about in terms of who are all the people that I've made contact with that I can reach out to kind of just check in and see how they're doing. Because again, maybe they have got a new goal, to your point, right? Like we just talked about. Maybe they're coming into this year with, you know what, this is my year. And while I've been doing mental health for the last 3 years, this year, I want to do a high rocks race. This year, I want to do that, whatever it is, right? And now they've got a different physical fitness goal. So maybe they want to take their physical fitness to another level and they want someone's help to get there, right? But again, service is the key.
How important is it? Because you bring up, obviously, High Rocks has grown in popularity. We see a lot of different fitness challenges. How important is it for individuals to have their fitness goals tied to a particular outcome goal?
Definitely depends on the individual's mentality and personality and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I do think impending events in general serve as a really big motivator for a lot of people. So again, whether it's like wear a suit or, you know, this dress at a wedding or whatever it might be, and you want to look good for a graduation or a reunion or any of those things, or more and more we're seeing the impending event is an event, right? Where it's like a physical fitness challenge that I'm going to do with my peers, my partners, my friends, the people in my building, like whomever, right? So I think that it can help for sure. But again, I don't know that those races are for everyone, right? I mean, there's a lot of different varieties that are out there, but still for some people, that's still not necessarily, you know, their cup of tea.
I know that trends come and go, but from your perspective, when it comes to the clientele, what they might be seeking, like who's coming in the door and what are going to be the primary, for example, we had the year of the booty, not this year, but the year previously, strength training. There was another report that came out that was the primary focus for Gen Zs and millennials. So for 2026, where do you see, or have you heard kind of that shift of focus happening for the ones that are coming in your doors?
I think it's all those trends, right? I don't think that those are necessarily going away. I think it's really about, there's still a huge component, I think, for aesthetics and for a lot of the, you know, the generations that you just mentioned. But there is now this fitness element that I think is also as important to them. So we're talking about the High Rocks, the DECA, the fun runs where they, you know, blast them with the powdered chalk and do this and do that. And just all these different types of different events. I think just the community sense of that, and there's also obviously some brands and some businesses that are focusing on that element explicitly as part of what they do. I mean, we do it through our small group training and our group fitness classes, and we see that even within our own kind of business, just that community, and that seems to be growing quite a bit. So I think that it's less of like a brand new trend, and in some ways it's kind of back to the future. So for those that's their first time kind of really being involved in fitness, like, this is amazing, this is the coolest, newest thing ever, and it's like, wow, we've kind of been here before. It's just got a little bit of a different spin and flavor on it, and definitely a different generation that I think is driving it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that people, and I'm sure it will remain the theme through this year, is mental health. I mean, searches for that actually outrank weight loss now, which is wild considering weight loss was the primary goal for most people. So when it comes to the trainer's approach, are there any differences or further research they should be doing to support their clients if they're coming in with that as the primary goal?
At the end of the day, different provinces, states, depending where you do business, right, there are going to be rules and regulations around scope of work and what you can or can't do. I think as a practitioner and as a professional personal trainer, again, depending on what level of certifications, education, background you bring to it, that's going to determine your ability to, you know, how far you go probably, right? So a lot of this is, you know, who am I partnered with? And there's, you know, certainly fitness entities that are out there that have medical components and full-blown, you know, assistance available at people. It kind of just, hey, we're going to point you this way versus that way. But there's lots of different people you can just even partner with from a practitioner standpoint. So your naturopaths, your chiros, your counselors, your psychologists, whatever it might be, physio, you know, depending on where that person's journey is. Because I think when we talk about mental health, you can even step back and say, generally speaking, I think people are looking for a couple things. They either have a big lack of self-confidence, right? And that inhibits them and creates fear for a lot of different things. And not quite the same, but different is, I think some people just have a lot of anxiety in general, right? Because the world just works them up into a place and they're looking for a place to find an outlet and get that energy out in a healthy way, right? So those are the two that I tend to see the most. So again, I think for personal trainers out there in particular, it's understanding where people are at, right? And I think especially one of the big challenges for a lot of young trainers is they haven't lifed yet. So sometimes it's like the math ain't mathin', the life ain't lifing. So they think, wow, what is wrong with this person? And it's like, if you're a younger trainer and let's say you're 25, 26 years old, 4-year degree, you got 4 certifications, you're on top of the world, your business is great. And now you've got this 38-year-old person who's just kind of really off. And it's like, what's up? And they're like, oh, I lost my job. Oh, you don't have a job? No, I got a new job, but this and that. But, one of my kids is sick and they're always hurt and this and that. And I got this other thing and my husband that, and they're lifing. And so I think that's often even where younger trainers tend to go wrong is, again, that like legitimate, what I would call empathetic approach on trying to understand people. And again, most of them, if they stop long enough to go, do these same things exist in my life? What about my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, my grandpa, da-da-da-da? Because if most people just even take stock of their own inventory, they'll realize all that same shit is in their own life somewhere. And it's actually not that hard to be empathetic, because then when most people can think about it from their own family, that context, they're like, oh God, like that's a serious deal. And it's because that's, again, where people are going through, right? And that can be stressful and all the things that go with it. And those things over time impact people. So yeah, I don't think mental health's going away. And I think it's important that people continue to talk about it. I mean, if I was to ask someone 10 years ago, hey, do you go to counseling? Have you ever seen a counselor? Oh, no, bro. Like, I'm good. And that'd be man or woman.
Yeah,
no
they'd be
one.
like, I don't see a shrink.
10 years
is
ago.
what they would say.
5 years ago, if you asked a woman, in my experience anyway, they would say yes or no if they do. And many kind of would just say they were. Now, it doesn't really matter who you ask. Hey, have you seen a counselor in the last 12 months, 24 months? Almost everyone I talk to says, yes, I have. Oh, really? And how was that experience for you? It was amazing. I learned so much about myself. It was so great. I'm applying, and I don't think, there used to be this shame and blame and everyone would kind of, be embarrassed about it versus no, I'm working on me. Right. And so, yeah, I think trainers having the ability to understand that people are doing that and then helping in their own way within their scope of practice, but also pointing them in the right direction is, I guess, how I'd summarize all that.
Yeah, that would be a winning formula. So on the topic of winning formulas, we started the conversation, trainers wanting to grow their business. If you were in their shoes, a trainer, as I say, that didn't quite hit their goals that they wanted to, they want to crush it this year, what would be the top 3 things that they should do right now?
Well, 1, call everyone they met before, check in with them, send them a postcard, send them a text. Can I talk to you? Love to get you back in, evaluate your program, all that, whatever. The second thing I do is I would get on the workout floor and I would talk to as many people as possible, right? And I would really just nonstop every day with no outcome expectation other than to meet new people. Not, I'm going to go try to book appointments. Not, oh, I got to sell something today. No, take all that pressure off of you and just say, I'm just going to talk to people, be a human. I'm going to be kind. I'm just going to be nice. I'm just going to go learn about people, because the outcome of those conversations is a certain number of those conversations will turn into appointments. A certain number of those appointments will turn into a new client, but you just got to take the pressure kind of out of the situation. The third thing I would do is I would work out in my uniform, right? And I would do all my crazy shit. So if you're like, I'm a badass with a kettlebell, I'm a superstar with a Bulgarian bag, oh, I can flagpole and do this and do that, and I can do muscle ups, and I can do whatever you think you're a bad mamma jamma at, I would do that in my uniform at the busiest times. So everyone could see that, I know what I'm doing, right? I'm a product of the product myself. So because I do still believe, and when I say I believe it, statistics show it, studies show it, and people even tell it to me anecdotally. They don't want to work with people that don't know what they're doing. So just go, you're your own billboard. Go show people, what's up? Check it out. And I'm not saying you got to be the strongest person, but your technique, your form, the intensity about how you're going about it, versus everyone's like, oh, I got to go get out of my uniform. It'll wash. Go get it sweaty. Maybe buy another one, figure that out, ask your company to give you another one, whatever that is, right? But work out in your uniform and do cool shit.
Let's head to the trainer circuit. Real questions, real situations. Chris shows up, listens, and mentors from experience.
You have to think about, how am I going to stand out in a crowd of crowds? I don't look like I'm the funnest guy, but I'm pretty fun. I'd wear a referee jersey on some days, right? With a whistle. Right? I'd blow the whistle at you and you'd be like, what? And I'm like, hey man, your left knee's caving in here. We got a little adductor issue going. That's bad form on the squat. I'm gonna need you to correct that on your next set. They're like, dude, you're an idiot. Get away. I'm like, I'm gonna blow the whistle again if you do it again. I swear to God. And they go do another set. I'm like, get out of here. Whatever, just to make it fun, right? Whatever I could do to bring life to the gym. There were times I put on rollerblades. I'd rollerblade around the club, do all kinds of crazy stuff, just to make it fun, to keep it different, to keep it lively. And again, back to today and nowadays with AI and all the social media and all the content that's out there, well, they're here and so are you. So how can you make that an impression? What does that look like? What does it sound like? How are you going to differentiate yourself?
Before we wrap, we'll leave you with a Smithism, a lesson Chris has picked up along the way.
This is the lesson of the heavy suitcase. There's a suitcase. You have all the different ways you can pick it up. The best way to pick up a suitcase is assume it's heavy. Right technique, right form, get your feet in the right place, get your back in the right place, activate your core, this and that, obliques, everything's firing, stand up right, big firm grip, all of it. Versus if you go just to be over, kind of just sloppily bend over to pick this thing up, and it's got, let's say it weighs 80 pounds. You're gonna be like, oh, you might throw your back out, you could get hurt, all these things could happen. Share that lesson, because you're gonna kind of lazily walk in and be like, oh, it's gonna be great, because I'm just gonna kind of, no, you gotta go in intensity. Like it's the heavy suitcase. You gotta grip that thing, get your feet right, and like, and go. And if you do that, I think you'll have a great year. So yeah, the lesson of the heavy suitcase.
That's today's Smithism. Chris Smith is the mayor of Smittyville, and I'm Krissy Vann, your town correspondent. This is the smartest small town in fitness. We'll see you back here every other week.